Welcome back to the 2002 Pro Watercraft Tour presented by Kawasaki. Perfect day here in Oceanside, California. David Stanfield with Rick Lake, and it's time for the Fly Freeride competition and its unique scoring system.
Our competitors today will be judged by 3 judges. 50% of the score will be based on wave jumping, 50% on wave riding. A perfect score is 60 points. The judge will be looking for amplitude, going big, degree of difficulty, how tough is it, and originality, how good do they look on the wave.
Our 2 Fly Freeride finalists are surf guru Joe Kenny and 3-time Pro Freestyle World Champion Eric Malone.
Now these 2 couldn't have more diverse backgrounds. Malone is a polished flatwater pro. Joe, on the other hand, won't touch flatwater. The judges really have the work cut out for them, quantifying the vastly different strengths and styles, a difficult job.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a very subjective event, you know, and thankfully we've got 3 judges and you can kind of balance things out because we all see it differently, and obviously the difficulty of the maneuver, but also, you know, the power that they do the maneuver in, the height, the amplitude they're calling it, and then I look for also just the style involved and then something new. If it's a new trick we haven't seen before, something extreme that takes things to a new level is going to score big in my book as well.
Well, I'm more the surf guy, so I'm looking for the big surf moves, the re-entries, the barrels, the tube riding. Bigger is better, size matters, and so the largest wave, the most critical maneuver, and you know, the savage moves by guys like Joe Kenny, those are what win.
Our 3 judges, Larry Rippenkroger, Randy Lane, and FMX pioneer Eric Hilton. And did I just hear Randy Lane say he favors Joe Kenny? Can he do that?
He just did.
Good matchup here. Eric Malone out of Duncansville, Pennsylvania. Say there's not a lot of surf there, but he is 3 for 3 this year in freeride competition up against the master himself, Oceanside local, and the favorite, according to a lot of people, Joe Kenny.
Oh yeah, Joe definitely a rider to keep an eye on. A big burly guy. He hits the waves just ballistically. Right here he opens up with a nice aerial barrel roll, lands it fairly well, gets back in the train, gets going.
Eric Malone, 3 World Freestyle Championships, 4 national titles. He has done it all in the sport, and now he's in what they call freeride, and it's 50% riding the waves and 50% throwing big air, and you can see Joe Kenny, the 32-year-old, going for it all.
Yeah, Joe right there going for a big Richter invert, the big backflip. That is the big move right now in free riding. And Joe going for it early. He's kind of hanging out over there by the pier where it's breaking real nice. And look at Eric Malone right there. And Joe Kenny back to back. Richter inverse. You can see clearly right there the difference between the 2 competitors. Malone's very clean, pulled it off, very nice, stuck the landing. Kenny, on the other hand, going big, going for amplitude. And we can see outside, here comes Eric Malone on a wave. He's trying to do some wave riding right now. He starts dropping into the wave. Gets into a nice critical spot of the wave. That's what the judges are looking for. Meanwhile, out back, Kenny goes big once again. I asked Kenny earlier, when he sees a big wave coming, how he can decide between going big or surfing it.
There's no, you know, for me, I just do what feels like it's going to be the funnest at the moment. If I haven't got any big jumps, you know, I'll try and do that. If I feel like I've been getting a bunch of big jumps, I'll try and tell myself settle down a little, you know, go hit a lip, you know, off the top of a wave or something like that.
What's going to take to win this thing today, Joe?
Probably a head transplant with the guy who's been winning all the events.
And Eric Malone, the 25-year-old 7th-year pro out of Pennsylvania, going to make things difficult for Dr. Joe Kenny, who's operating here in his home break.
Yeah, Joe right now looking around for a wave to impress the judges. A nice re-entry by Joe Kenny. And Joe looking again for another wave to surf in on. These 2 guys are just great competitors for freeride because they are kind of diverse, as we talked about. They both have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's really fun to watch in these great conditions here at Oceanside.
We have seen some spectacular aerials already in the Fly Freeride Ski Finals. They call it the backflip, but in reality, it's the Richter invert in this sport, named after Rick Roy. And Eric Malone had a couple of great variations.
Yeah, we take a real good look at Eric right here in the middle of a Richter invert. Throws the leg out, but watch how he lands. Very nice, clean landing. He sticks it. That scores well. Nice move. Joe Kenny, on the other hand, going big right there. Nice air, nice amplitude. Doesn't land it quite so cleanly, but these waves are so big today that the judges are having a tough time seeing the backs of them, and that's not really going to cost Joe.
Joe Kenny, a surfer for 16 years, knows how to get double the points.
Yeah, this is one of the great moves in the sport right here, the aerial re-entry. and you get points for both wave riding and for going big in the air.
And talk about precision. The aerial barrel roll by Malone is perfection.
Yeah, and he pulls it off right there, no-handed, an incredible move.
Some of the best conditions we've seen in personal watercraft competition in years. It's Eric Malone, the 7th-year pro, versus Joe Kenny, the 32-year-old local from Oceanside. As we continue with the Fly Freeride competition, stay with us. Welcome back to the Pro Watercraft Tour from Oceanside, California. With the huge popularity of sit-down style watercraft, it's no surprise that the moves that the pro runabout freeriders threw down garnered a lot of attention.
But the two stars of the class were again the South African duo of Jeremy Phillips and Jimmy Visser. Jimmy has made it into every final so far this season and has won 2 out of 3 of them. His only loss was at the hands of Jeremy Phillips.
Into the finals. On Visser's second wave, the unthinkable happens. His boat takes a 100-yard ghost ride into shore. Even with assistance from the safety official, precious minutes are wasted while Phillips takes full advantage of an open ocean. Visser regroups, making the best of the remaining minutes, bringing himself back to within 1 point of Phillips, but 1 point might as well be 100. Jeremy Phillips scores his second win of the season. Round number 4 results. It's Jeremy Phillips, Jimmy Visser, Bill Hogan, and Steve Evans. And point standings after 4 rounds of competition, Jimmy Visser up top, followed by Phillips, Hogan, Evans, and Sumrall. And we return to the Pro Ski Freeride Finals here at Oceanside, California. Beautiful day here in North San Diego County. Huge crowd on hand as we continue with the action. Eric Malone, the 25-year-old out of Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh, there's a great re-entry.
Nice move again by Malone, and here's one of his patented flat water maneuvers that he brought over from his freestyle routines. The little fish walk right there. Not going to score real big here in the surf. Joe Kenny looking for a big wave to go off on.
Oh, he is radical. Look at this launching ramp. And oh my gosh, an aerial barrel roll re-entry, kind of an auger into some shallow water.
Yeah, he definitely augured it right there as we see Eric Malone do a little off the lip re-entry. But Joe right now trying to shake the cobwebs out. He really attacked that wave, and that is his style. And sometimes, you know what, you got to pay the price.
Unbelievable move, an aerial barrel roll, but on a re-entry move. Absolutely spectacular, high risk. Meanwhile, here's Eric Malone showing that he can ride some waves.
Yeah, getting a little critical section right there. Actually trying to get a cover up. Didn't quite pull it off, but still a nice surf move by Malone. And here goes Kenny again. Going big, throws a hand off, land sideways, and he is putting on a show.
And there might be some problem with this ski because there's parts floating in the water.
Yeah, it looks like his hood flew off right there. And his hood, he's over to his hood right now. He swam over to it. And his watercraft is right now circling out in the surf without a hood on it.
Meanwhile, a world and national champion, Eric Malone, continues to score points, but I'm very concerned about Joe Kenny and his personal watercraft. It's coming apart.
Yeah, Joe Kenny went big on that wave, knocked his hood off, and he's circling right now. I don't know if that high-tech water separator is going to do him much good on his watercraft. But look right here at the maneuver that knocked his hood off, and Joe goes big as he usually does. Tries to bend it around into an aerial barrel roll, lands sideways with enormous impact, enough impact to actually knock the hood right off his watercraft, and in true Joe Kenny form and fashion, he is back out and competing without a hood. This should be interesting.
There's this ramp and another move inverted, and he goes down. Let's see if he pops back up. Oh my gosh, we've got a ship that's sinking.
Yeah, that boat is full of water right now. You can hear the crowd. Everybody on the beach knew that Joe was going for it without a hood in typical Joe Kenny fashion. We take another look right here, and he definitely went big, pulled the boat around, landed, and it looked like he landed pretty darn clean off this wave. You can see one more look right here. He pulls it around, and when that water comes back over the top of the bow of the hull, after it rebounds, it's all over for Joe.
A massive Richter invert with an aerial tweak. He had to land it perfect. It looks like he did, but the water then came up and around and submerged him. Meanwhile, it is Eric Malone scoring some points, doing some great wave riding.
And for the second round in a row here at Oceanside, Eric Malone finds himself all alone in the final of the Pro Freeride competitions. He pulls a nice aerial barrel roll right there. Last round, it was Italian Federico Buffacchi that had boat problems that knocked him out of the final. This week, it's Joe Kenny and Malone all by himself, looking good.
Red flag flies. The Fly Freeride Pro Ski Finals are now completed, and we saw quite a show. Eric Malone and Joe Kenny, there's Kenny coming in, but before he sank his boat, he challenged Eric Malone.
Yeah, one of the top freeride finals of the year, unquestionably. Malone and Kenny going off, epic conditions. Tremendously talented riders that put on quite a show.
Eric Malone quite possibly the winner, but Joe Kenny, what a show, and no doubt the crowd favorite. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2002 Pro Watercraft Tour presented by Kawasaki, Oceanside, California. The Fly Freeride Pro Ski Final completed. Here is the survivor. His name is Joe Kenny. And take a look. He's limping through, but he is a crowd favorite. It was a battle of epic proportions. Joe Kenny, aggressive, spectacular, and fearless in this tweaking Richter back loop without a hood. Meanwhile, Malone, consistent, solid, precise, the man to beat. His routine was a series of flawless jumps, aerials, and wave rides. Eric Malone now 4 for 4 on the Pro Watercraft Tour. And here's an interesting note as we take a look at the final results. Malone, Kenny, Lenzi, Curtis, and Buffacchi, but all three judges had Joe Kenny leading the final until he sunk his ski. Now let's go down to Rick Lake.
Eric, you and Joe Kenny put on a phenomenal show, the best final of the tour so far.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I just wish Joe's hood wouldn't have fallen off there because I was really excited to ride with him for the full 10 minutes and see what the outcome was, you know, but I got to thank Polaris Wambleton's Factory Pipe and Solus for putting together a reliable package for me this year, and Slippery and Fly for keeping me protected out there.
I got to tell you, and Joe went at it. That was really, really special. Did you feel more pumped up with Joe out there? You knew he was pulling some big maneuvers. Did it kind of push you over the edge a little?
Yeah, definitely. I saw Joe do a barrel roll re-entry there earlier, and I was like, wow, man, look at him over there doing that. I was like, I got to get on the ball, and it's like searching for waves. And with the guys out there, it's just pumping you up, making you go harder.
Great job. We'll see you around 5.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Here's a look at the Freeride ski point standings. Eric Malone obviously on top, 4,000 points. He's 4 for 4.